Dr. Lena Hart leaned back in her chair, the glow from her computer screen casting blue light across her determined features. The lab was quiet except for the soft hum of machinery and the occasional beep from her equipment. It was late, but Lena was too absorbed in her work to consider leaving. The Deep-Sea Acoustics Lab at the Pacific Marine Science Institute had become her second home, filled with monitors and stacks of hydrophone recordings from the ocean's depths. She was reviewing audio files from her latest expedition to the Pacific Trench when a peculiar pattern in the data caught her eye, or more accurately, her ear. It was a sound unlike any she had encountered before, a low, pulsating hum that seemed almost structured. Lena adjusted her headphones and replayed the segment, her eyes narrowing in concentration. The sound didn't match the profile of geological activity, nor did it resemble any known marine species calls. It was entirely out of place, a whisper from the deep that didn't belong. Intrigued, Lena isolated the frequency, enhancing the playback. The sound was mesmerizing, a complex sequence that hinted at deliberate communication rather than random noise. Her heart raced as she considered the implications. This could be a groundbreaking discovery. The next morning, Lena presented her findings to her colleagues at the Institute during an impromptu meeting. She played the recording, watching as brows furrowed and eyes widened in the dimly lit conference room. "Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting?" asked Dr. Emily Cato, the head of marine geology, skepticism clear in her voice. Lena nodded, her voice steady despite the racing thoughts in her mind. "I believe the signal may be an attempt at communication. From what or whom I can't say yet. But it's coming from a section of the trench that's largely unexplored." The room buzzed with excitement and disbelief. Dr. Samir Chaudhary, a renowned geologist, leaned forward, his expression thoughtful. "If this signal is emanating from the trench, we need to investigate further. This could be a significant geological phenomenon or something more." Lena knew she needed a team to explore the trench's depths, a mission that would require expertise in various fields. She outlined her proposal for an expedition, suggesting they use the Institute's latest submersible, the Nautilus, which was capable of withstanding extreme depths. "I'll need a pilot with experience in deep-sea navigation," Lena stated, already running through potential candidates in her mind, "and technical support for the sub's operations. I recommend Cole Turner for the pilot," chimed in Ava Diaz, a marine technician who had worked with Lena on previous expeditions. "He's one of the best, and he knows the Nautilus inside and out." "And I would like to join as well," offered Samir, his eyes alight with the thrill of discovery. Whatever is generating this signal might be linked to seismic activities or unknown geological structures. With the team forming, Lena felt a surge of anticipation. The Institute's director, Dr. Susan Fielding, gave her approval, intrigued by the potential of such a discovery. "We're behind you, Dr. Hart," Susan affirmed, her voice echoing slightly in the quiet room. "Assemble your team and prepare the Nautilus. Let's uncover the secrets of the Pacific Trench." Over the next few weeks, Lena and her newly formed team prepared vigorously. They reviewed the Nautilus's systems, plotted their course, and gathered all necessary scientific equipment. Each team member understood the risks involved in such a deep dive into uncharted waters, but the allure of the unknown drove them forward. As the day of the expedition approached, Lena spent long hours poring over bathymetric maps and sonar data, her mind filled with possibilities. What could be waiting for them in the depths? Was it a natural phenomenon? Remnants of an ancient undersea landslide? Or were they on the verge of discovering something truly extraordinary? The night before their departure, Lena reviewed her notes one last time. The signal, now dubbed the Whisper, seemed to call to her, a siren song from the deep ocean's darkest corners. She closed her laptop and packed her gear, her resolve firm. Tomorrow, they would dive into the Pacific Trench, towards a mystery that had lain hidden beneath the waves for millennia. What they would find there, Lena could only imagine. But she was ready to face whatever secrets lay waiting in the deep. Dr. Lena Hart stood on the deck of the research vessel Orion, the early morning sun casting long shadows across the harbor. Today, they would embark on what could be one of the most significant underwater explorations of the century. As she watched her team load the last of their gear onto the ship, she felt a mix of excitement and the weight of responsibility. Cole Turner, the pilot recommended by Ava Diaz, was already aboard, checking the submersible Nautilus's systems. His reputation as one of the best deep-sea pilots in the field preceded him, and Lena felt reassured by his confident demeanor as he moved through his pre-dive checklist with practiced ease. Ava herself was bustling around the equipment, making sure all their technical gear was properly stowed and secured. Her expertise with submersible technology was crucial, and her energy was infectious. She caught Lena's eye and gave a thumbs up, her smile broad despite the early hour. Dr. Samir Chaudhary, the team's geologist, was deep in conversation with Cole, discussing the geological formations they hoped to investigate around the trench. Samir's knowledge of seismic activity and underwater structures would be invaluable in interpreting the origin of the mysterious signal. As the final member of their crew, Lena had recruited another marine biologist, Dr. Nora Kelly, who specialized in deep-sea ecosystems. Nora's expertise would help them understand any biological aspects related to the signal, especially if it turned out to be of organic origin. Once everyone was aboard, Lena called the team together on the deck for a final briefing before departure. The sun had fully risen now, casting a golden glow over the vessel, reflecting off the calm morning waters. "Team," Lena began, her voice carrying over the sound of the harbor. "Today, we're not just conducting a routine exploration. We're answering a call from the deepest parts of the ocean, a signal whose origins and meaning are completely unknown. Our mission is to investigate this anomaly, which could potentially rewrite our understanding of the oceanic depths." She paused, ensuring she had everyone's attention. "We need to be prepared for anything. The environment where we're heading is extreme, and while we have the best equipment and skills, the unexpected is always a possibility in deep-sea exploration." Cole nodded, his expression serious. "The Nautilus is in top condition. We've double-checked all systems, and redundancy checks are in place. Once we're in the trench, we'll be relying on each other completely." Ava chimed in, her voice bright but firm. "I've prepared all our tech for extreme conditions. Cameras, sensors, all recording gear is triple-checked. We won't miss a thing down there." Samir added, "And from a geological perspective, we're entering a largely unexplored area. The formations and the activity around the trench could provide new insights into the Earth's processes. It's a unique opportunity to observe these phenomena firsthand." Nora spoke last, her tone thoughtful. "And let's not forget the possibility of encountering unknown biological entities. The deep sea is home to some of the most bizarre life forms on our planet. This signal might well be something living, something we've never imagined." Lena looked around at her team, proud and reassured by their professionalism and enthusiasm. "Thank you, everyone. Let's keep communications open, stick to the plan, and watch out for each other. Whatever we find out there, we find as a team." With that, she gave the signal to cast off. The Orion's engines rumbled to life, and the vessel began its journey out of the harbor toward the open ocean. The team set about their final preparations, checking and rechecking their equipment as the coastline receded behind them. As they headed toward the coordinates of the signal's origin, Lena went to the bridge to speak with the captain about their route and expected weather conditions. The sea was calm, the sky clear, ideal conditions for a dive. However, deep in her gut, Lena felt the stirrings of apprehension. The ocean was vast and unpredictable, and the depths they were aiming to explore were among the least understood on Earth. The signal had drawn them here, an enigmatic whisper from the abyss, and Lena couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to uncover something extraordinary. The journey to the dive point would take several hours, giving the team plenty of time to review their strategy and mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. As the Orion sliced through the waters, each team member was lost in their own thoughts, pondering the possibilities of what lay beneath the waves, waiting in the cold, dark depths of the Pacific Trench. The Pacific Ocean stretched endlessly around the research vessel Orion as it made steady progress toward the designated coordinates above the trench. The sun shone brightly above, its light reflecting off the gentle swells of the sea, but beneath the vessel, the ocean hid its secrets in fathomless depths. Inside the submersible launch bay, the team performed their final checks on the Nautilus. The sleek vessel was the pinnacle of underwater exploration technology, designed to withstand the immense pressures of the deep ocean. Lena, Cole, and the rest of the crew donned their specialized suits, each person moving with a mix of anticipation and the solemnity the deep demanded. Cole, ever the expert, guided them through the final briefing. Remember, once we're past 2,000 meters, we're in a whole different world. Communication with the surface will be limited to data transmissions and emergency signals. Lena, you're in command of the science ops. I'll handle the piloting and subsystems. Lena nodded, her gaze fixed on the dark blue abyss visible through the bay's open hatch. Let's keep a continuous log of all observations. Anything out of the ordinary could be a clue about the source of the signal. The hatch sealed with a hiss, and the submersible was slowly lowered into the ocean. As the Nautilus slipped beneath the waves, the sunlight began to fade, swallowed by the increasing depth. Soon, they were enveloped in darkness, the sub's powerful lights cutting a path through the murky water. The descent was slow and methodical. Samir monitored the geological data streaming in measurements of the ocean floor's topography, temperature readings, and chemical signatures of the water. We're passing through a thermocline. Temperatures are dropping, he reported, his voice echoing slightly in the compact cabin. Ava kept her eyes on the sub's array of monitors, watching the live feeds from the external cameras. Bioluminescent organisms on the starboard side, she pointed out. The screens briefly lit up with the light of passing creatures, a fleeting glimpse of life in the deep. Nora recorded each sighting, her voice a steady monotone in the background. Possible new species of jellyfish at 1,800 meters. Documenting morphology and behavior, the deeper they went, the colder and darker it became. An hour into their descent, Cole's steady voice broke the silence. Approaching 3,200 meters. We're nearing the signal's estimated origin point. Lena leaned forward, peering into the darkness beyond the sub's lights. Everyone be on high alert. Whatever's generating the signal should be close. Suddenly, the Nautilus shuddered, a low rumble echoing through the hull. What was that? Lena's voice was tense. Checking now, Cole replied, his fingers moving quickly over the controls. No damage to the sub. It came from outside. Samir's eyes were wide as he looked at the geological monitors. There's seismic activity nearby, small, localized. It's not strong enough to be an earthquake, but it definitely shook us. The team exchanged nervous glances. The ocean was full of mysteries, many of which could be dangerous. As they continued their approach, the instruments began to pick up anomalies. The signal's getting stronger, Ava announced, adjusting the frequency settings on her console. We must be right on top of it. Then, without warning, the Nautilus's lights illuminated an incredible sight. A massive metallic object embedded in the ocean floor, surrounded by strange markings that glowed faintly in the sub's lights. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, clearly artificial, geometrically precise, and evidently ancient. What is that? Nora stammered, her face pressed against the viewport. Lena was speechless, her mind racing. This was the source of the signal, a structure clearly not of natural origin. It looks like some kind of artifact, possibly extraterrestrial or something else entirely. The team was silent, each member processing the revelation. Here, in the darkness of the Pacific Trench, they had discovered something that could change the understanding of human history, the Earth, and perhaps even their place in the cosmos. Cole maneuvered the Nautilus closer, careful not to disturb the ocean floor. We need to investigate, but carefully. We don't know what this thing is capable of. As they prepared to deploy external probes and collecting devices, the artifact pulsed, a wave of energy rippling through the water. The cabin's instruments flickered, and a deep, resonating hum filled the submersible. Lena's heart raced. It's reacting to us. This could be a first contact situation. The team worked quickly to gather as much data as possible. The artifact, whatever its purpose or origin, had awakened from its long slumber at the bottom of the sea, and the echoes of its power whispered of secrets that humanity had only begun to imagine. The mysterious artifact lay silent and imposing on the ocean floor, its surfaces gleaming under the Nautilus's powerful lights. The deep hum that had filled the submersible ceased as suddenly as it had begun, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. "Are we still functional?" Lena asked, her voice tense but steady as she surveyed the monitors that lined the control panel in front of her. Cole checked the systems one by one. All systems green. Whatever that pulse was, it didn't damage the Nautilus. Samir, his eyes never leaving the geological sensors, added, "The seismic readings have stabilized too, but that energy pulse, it was like nothing I've ever seen. It originated from the artifact." Ava, busy with her equipment, pointed out, "The artifact's surface is covered in what appears to be inscriptions or some kind of circuitry. It's hard to tell from this distance. We'll need closer visuals." Carefully, Cole maneuvered the submersible for a better view. The team watched in awe as the artifact filled the screens, its complexity becoming more apparent. It was undoubtedly engineered, its design too intentional, too precise for any known natural process. Nora prepared the external sampling arm to collect physical samples. "If we can analyze the material composition, we might get more insights into its origin," she suggested, her hands deftly operating the controls. As the sampling arm extended towards the artifact, the cabin lights flickered briefly, causing everyone's heart rate to spike. "Just a small power fluctuation," Cole announced after a quick check. The arm made contact, and immediately the artifact's surface reacted. The areas around the touchpoint lit up with a soft, blue glow, spreading rapidly along the inscriptions that crisscrossed its structure. "It's responding to our touch," Lena observed, her fascination tinged with caution. This could be some form of interactive interface. Or it's defensive. The glow from the artifact suddenly intensified, then projected a beam of light that formed images right outside the Nautilus. They were holographic and ethereal, depicting celestial bodies, star maps, and then scenes of a planet with vast oceans and continents, teeming with life. "These look like... are they memories? Or messages?" Lena murmured, her scientific mind racing to make sense of the visual data. Samir, ever the geologist, was quick to theorize. This could be a record of this artifact's journey. Maybe it's showing us where it came from or what it has witnessed. The images shifted, now showing smaller, humanoid figures, beings that appeared to be interacting peacefully with various forms of life on the depicted planet. It was a stark contrast to any fears of alien invasion or hostile encounters. As the display continued, the scenes changed to show a catastrophic event, a massive object colliding with the planet, resulting in climatic upheavals and widespread destruction. Their world was destroyed, Nora said softly, a sense of sadness in her tone. And they sent this artifact, perhaps as a warning, or a way to preserve their history. Lena nodded, her mind abuzz with hypotheses and questions. "We need to document everything. This is not just a discovery. It's a testament to an entire civilization." For the next few hours, the team recorded the holographic display, taking notes and discussing the potential implications of their find. As the display eventually dimmed and the artifact returned to a passive state, they knew they had witnessed something extraordinary. Cole broke the contemplative silence. "We should start heading back. We've collected enough data for preliminary analysis, and we need to ensure the safety of the crew and the sub." Lena agreed, though she felt a reluctance to leave the artifact behind. "You're right. Let's secure all samples and recordings. We have to report this to the surface." As the Nautilus began its ascent, each team member was lost in thought, overwhelmed by the day's events. They had gone into the ocean's depths expecting to find perhaps a new geological phenomenon or an undiscovered species. Instead, they had encountered a relic of a lost civilization, one that had reached out across the stars only to find refuge in the deep sea. Back on the surface, the implications of their discovery would need to be carefully managed. But for now, as the pressure of the deep receded and the sunlight slowly began to filter through the water, Lena and her team felt a profound connection to the mysterious beings whose history they had just uncovered. The weight of their responsibility, to share this story with the world, to honor the memory of a distant planet, was immense. But so too was their resolve to ensure this knowledge was not lost to the depths once more. As the Nautilus made its gradual ascent to the surface, the team was silent, each member processing the incredible revelations from the deep. The artifact's displays had not only depicted a cosmic journey but also narrated a civilization's tragic end. Lena felt an overwhelming responsibility to convey this discovery accurately and thoughtfully to the world. Once we're back on the Orion, we need to secure all data and samples in the lab, Lena instructed, breaking the silence. We'll start with non-invasive analyses. I don't want to risk damaging anything. Cole, keeping a steady hand on the submersible's controls, nodded in agreement. I'll coordinate with the ship's crew to make sure we have everything ready for docking. We need to maintain the integrity of the artifact samples at all costs. Ava, busy backing up the digital recordings of the holographic display, added, I've encrypted the data. Once we dock, I'll ensure it's safely transferred to the lab's mainframe. We can't risk this falling into the wrong hands. The journey upward seemed to take an eternity, laden with the weight of their discovery. As they neared the surface, the dark waters began to lighten, morphing from black to deep blue. A sense of returning to reality set in, the familiar world awaiting them above the waves. Back on the Orion, the team was met with curious and excited glances from the ship's crew. Dr. Susan Fielding, who had been monitoring their progress from the research vessel, was waiting for them as they emerged from the Nautilus. Welcome back, she greeted, her eyes searching theirs for any sign of the outcome. I gather from your expressions that the mission was more than successful. Lena nodded, her face serious. We found something incredible, Susan. It's going to require careful handling and a lot of analysis. The implications are significant. Susan led the team to the mobile lab set up on board, where facilities were in place to begin preliminary analysis of the samples and data. Let's get to work then. The sooner we understand what you found, the better we can protect and study it. Samir and Nora started examining the physical samples taken from the artifact. Using microscopes and other non-destructive techniques, they carefully documented the material properties and any potential biological traces. Meanwhile, Lena and Ava reviewed the digital recordings, the holographic images now laid out in a sequence that depicted the alien civilization story. The detailed visuals of the planetary collision and subsequent ruin were haunting. This is more than just a scientific discovery, Lena mused aloud. It's a historical record of a lost world. Their technology was advanced far beyond ours. They chose to send this artifact as a message. A warning, perhaps, or a legacy. Samir, looking up from his microscope, chimed in, the material itself is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's incredibly durable yet light. The composition is complex, suggesting advanced engineering and knowledge of material science. Nora added, and from the biological residues, it seems this artifact might have been part of a larger system or device. There are traces of synthetic and organic materials integrated seamlessly. As the hours passed, the team cataloged and discussed their findings, each new discovery adding layers to their understanding of the artifact. The mood was a mix of excitement and solemnity, with the realization that they were the first humans to make contact with evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence. However, Lena knew that with great discoveries came great responsibilities. We need to discuss how to present this to the world. It's important that we're thorough and accurate. We can't let this turn into sensationalism. Susan agreed, her expression grave. Indeed, Lena. We'll need to prepare a detailed report for the scientific community, and plan a press release that gives enough information to satisfy public curiosity without compromising the artifact's safety or our future research. The team worked into the early hours, preparing their findings for peer review and drafting the initial report that would introduce the world to their unprecedented discovery. As dawn broke over the Orion, casting a pale light across the lab, Lena stepped out onto the deck, taking a moment to breathe in the fresh ocean air. Looking out over the horizon, she felt a profound connection to the unknown civilization that had reached out across time and space, their echoes from the past resonating with a clear message of both warning and wonder. The challenge ahead was daunting, but Lena felt ready. With her team, she would navigate the complexities of this discovery, ensuring it served to enlighten and unify, rather than divide or create conflict. The whispers from the deep had spoken, and now it was their turn to reply. The research vessel Orion floated quietly on the Pacific, a solitary figure against the vast ocean. Below deck, in the laboratory, the team was deeply engaged in analyzing the artifact's data, unaware that their discovery was about to propel them into uncharted waters, both literally and metaphorically. As Lena and her team worked tirelessly, the artifact, securely encased in a specially designed containment unit, began to exhibit new, unexpected behaviors. The surface, previously inert since being brought aboard, started to emit a soft, pulsating light. The rhythm was methodical, almost like a heartbeat, accelerating and then slowing down. Nora, who was examining a sample under the microscope, was the first to notice. "Everyone, look at this," she called out, her voice a mixture of excitement and concern. Lena, Ava, Samir, and Cole gathered around the containment unit. "The artifact. It's active again," Lena observed, her brow furrowing. "Can we get a reading on what triggered this?" Ava quickly checked the environmental data. "There's been no change in our handling procedures, and all external factors are stable. This seems to be self-initiated." Samir, ever the geologist, suggested, "Could it be reacting to its removal from the ocean floor? Maybe it's programmed to respond to environmental changes, even subtle ones." As they speculated, the pulsating light grew brighter, and without warning, the artifact emitted a powerful energy pulse. The entire ship shuddered, alarms blaring as systems momentarily went offline. Cole rushed to check the navigational systems. "We've got a problem. The pulse has knocked out some of our navigation. We're drifting." Lena quickly took charge. "Ava, work with Cole to get systems back online. Samir, Nora, keep monitoring the artifact. We need to understand what's happening." As Ava and Cole scrambled to restore the Orion systems, Lena and the others turned their attention back to the artifact. The light it emitted had changed from a soft pulse to a continuous glow. "It's like it's trying to communicate," Nora whispered, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. Using the ship's restored communication systems, Lena sent an urgent message to the Pacific Marine Science Institute, briefly explaining their situation and asking for immediate assistance. Meanwhile, the artifact's glow intensified, casting an eerie light throughout the lab. Samir, examining the seismic monitors, noticed a pattern. The artifact's pulses seemed to correlate with seismic activity in the trench where we found it. "It's as if it's still connected to its original location. The implications of that are enormous," Lena said, her mind racing. "It could be part of a network, possibly a defensive system, or something we can't even imagine." The team decided to conduct a controlled experiment to communicate with the artifact. Using a series of controlled energy pulses mimicking the artifact's own emissions, they attempted to establish a two-way communication. Each pulse they sent was met with a response, the artifact's light changing in intensity and rhythm. Gradually, the responses began to form a pattern that resembled a data stream. Ava, her expertise with technology coming to the forefront, managed to translate some of the simpler sequences. "It's sending coordinates and it looks like warnings. This thing is not just a relic. It's like a buoy or a beacon. The warnings must be about the seismic activities it's linked to," Samir added, his expression grim. "This could be a warning system set up by an advanced civilization to monitor planetary conditions." As they pondered the implications, the artifact emitted a final, massive pulse. The energy released was so significant it caused a minor quake detectable by their instruments. Lena concluded, "We need to place this artifact back where it belongs. It's clear now that it's part of something bigger, something important to the health of our planet." The decision was unanimous. Despite the risks, they would return the artifact to the trench, hoping this would stabilize the reactions and provide further insights into the ancient technology. As preparations began for the return journey, Lena felt a profound sense of duty. They were not merely explorers or scientists. They were now guardians of a legacy spanning millennia. The whispers from the deep had become a clarion call, and they were the responders, tasked with preserving a message sent across time and space. The journey back to the trench was tense, the research vessel Orion cutting through the Pacific waters under a clouded sky that mirrored the team's apprehension. The artifact, now clearly more than just an ancient relic, was secured in the lab, its glow dimmed as if in slumber. Lena oversaw the preparations for their descent, her mind preoccupied with the artifact's implications. "Once we've returned it to its original location, we need to monitor its activity remotely," she instructed Cole and Ava. "We can't risk any more direct interactions without understanding its full capabilities." Cole nodded, his hands steady on the controls of the Nautilus as they began their descent back into the dark waters. "We'll drop it using the robotic arms at the exact coordinates we found it. Minimal contact, maximum precaution." As they submerged, the ocean swallowed them, the light from the surface fading until all that illuminated their path were the submersible's lights, casting eerie shadows in the water. Ava monitored the artifact's readings closely. "It's stable for now, but the energy levels are fluctuating mildly. It seems to be reacting to its approach to the trench." Samir added, analyzing the geological data streaming in, "The trench is unusually active seismically. It's not just the artifact. This area is a hotbed for tectonic movements. The artifact could be a part of a geological monitoring network, possibly even a control mechanism." Their descent was uneventful until they approached the trench's depths. Suddenly, the Nautilus shuddered, a tremor rippling through the deep-sea waters. Lena gripped her seat, her eyes fixed on the monitors. That was a strong tremor. "Check all systems." Cole confirmed the submersible's integrity, all systems green. It was external, coming from the trench itself. The tremors increased as they neared the ocean floor, each one a stark reminder of the power held within the Earth's crust. The artifact began to glow once again, its light pulsating like a heartbeat, faster and more insistently as they moved closer to its original resting place. When they reached the designated coordinates, the Nautilus's arms extended, carefully maneuvering the artifact back into the indentation on the ocean floor from which it had been taken. The moment it touched the seabed, a brilliant light emanated from the artifact, spreading across the ocean floor and illuminating the water in a breathtaking display of colors. "The energy readings are off the charts," Ava shouted over the commotion, her eyes wide with both fear and fascination. "It's stabilizing the seismic activity. The tremors are ceasing." Lena watched in awe as the light show subsided and the artifact settled into the seabed, seemingly content. "It's home, and it's active, possibly rejuvenated by its reconnection with the Earth." The implications were profound. They had uncovered a technology so advanced it intertwined with the planet's geophysical processes, a safeguard left by a civilization long vanished. With the mission complete, Cole steered the Nautilus back towards the surface. The ascent was quiet, each member of the team lost in thought over their extraordinary encounter. Back on the Orion, preparations were underway to leave the trench. Lena gathered the team for a debriefing. "What we've discovered changes everything. Not only about our understanding of extraterrestrial life, but also about our Earth's history and future. We need to protect this knowledge, ensure it's used wisely." Samir added, "And we need to continue monitoring the trench. There's more to learn about the artifact, the ancient civilization, and our planet." As the Orion sailed back to civilization, Lena felt a profound shift in her worldview. They had touched something ancient and powerful, an echo from the deep past that would resonate far into the future. The team's report to the scientific community would spark debates and research for years to come. Their discovery was not just scientific. It was a philosophical revelation, a testament to the interconnectedness of life, time, and the cosmos. As the sun set on the horizon, casting a golden glow over the ocean, Lena stood at the deck, watching the waves. The ocean seemed different to her now, deeper, more mysterious, yet more familiar. They had answered the whispers from the deep, and in return, they had been entrusted with secrets that bridged stars and oceans. Now, it was their turn to safeguard these whispers for future generations.